Cheers, everyone. Happy Thursday. I am Tim, here with Robot Butt Recommends, here to give you another suggestion of something to watch, read, whatever, as we try to hide from the invisible coronavirus. So today's recommendation is the television series Watchmen from last year that HBO aired. And there are a couple different reasons that I decided to recommend that today. The first is it was probably the biggest surprise for me last year in terms of enjoying something a lot that I really wasn't expecting to. The original Watchmen graphic novel is, a very seminal piece of work, very famous, also very notoriously difficult to adapt. They tried to make a movie years ago with Zack Snyder. It was not good. So the idea that they were going to do a TV adaptation and that it was going to be a sequel or a remix, as creator Damon Lindelof called it, it was interesting, but, cautious optimism, because Watchmen is a very easy thing to fuck up because it is a very kind of specific worldview that Alan Moore has, and it's, the way his story is told, it's very dense, very hard to just kind of remove from that source material. But to the show's credit, it did a very good job. It was able to create a lot of good new characters to center it around. It fit into the continuity of the source material and the world that built overall extremely well. It was a massive surprise, and I really liked it. And the second reason I wanted to recommend it at this point is what that show specifically did, and what is going on this weekend, where Trump has decided he's going to hold a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was originally going to be tomorrow, which is Juneteenth, which is a very important holiday for the Black community, dealing with the ending of slavery. And apparently he didn't realize that, or they didn't know there would be so much of a backlash. Either way, not a great look. But by doing it in Tulsa, that was the site of the bombing of Black Wall Street, as it's called, in 1921, which is something that a lot of people didn't realize until Watchmen. It was something that I was vaguely aware of. I had read it at some point, but if you had asked me about the history of racial strife in the country, I would never have been able to recall it on my own. Well, the Watchmen series starts with that. And the series as a whole, the story it tells, is very much steeped in racial tension and trauma. And just like the original comic was, very political and very focused on Cold War anxiety, this new series taps into that kind of racial trauma and anxiety, and it does a much better job than you would ever have expected, especially when you hear that the showrunner was Damon Lindelof, that fucking guy. But to his credit, he had a very specific idea for a story he wanted to tell. He got a much more diverse writing room put together than you might normally expect. So it does come across as a much more nuanced take than just, here's what middle-aged white guy thinks about race. And it's very well done. It's got that HBO money, so the set pieces and the action, everything, very well choreographed, very well shot. Like I said before, the characters that they create for the show are very good and fit into the larger world of Watchmen very well. And more importantly, it does a very good job of bringing characters and elements from the source material into this new story, and not necessarily retcon things, but find holes that were left in the source material and find creative ways to kind of fill those out. And I would love to go into that more, but for anyone who hasn't already watched it, that constitutes some pretty major spoilers, and I do not want to take that away from you. But it is a great time to dig into this particular series. And HBO realizes it, so kind of a third reason to recommend it is for Juneteenth and for this weekend, HBO is making the whole series free to stream, even if you aren't an HBO subscriber. So if you don't have HBO and you were interested in this, but you never got to it because you weren't paying for the HBO subscription, well, you're in luck, because now you can. It's free for everyone. So this weekend is a great chance to kind of dig into that. And it is very thematically appropriate for the time that we currently find ourselves in. So that is something that I highly recommend that everyone check out while they're able to this weekend. I mean, if you have an HBO subscription, the free part isn't as relevant to you, but I would still say this weekend is a great time to check that show out. Like I said, I went into it just kind of, oh, well, this could be interesting, I'll see what it is. By the end of the show, it was far and away my favorite show of 2019. So definitely pull up that free HBO this weekend, check out the series, and stay well. Like I said, we're going to keep doing this because things are still crazy out there. The virus is still making it very unlikely that it's safe to go out and do things. So pull up HBO, stream some stuff, and we will see you next week, Tuesday and Thursday, same time. I will throw some other recommendations at you, and we will see you then.